week into training camp, but it is. The 49ers are already dealing with a lot of problematic injuries, mainly affecting the depth of this team, but the depth is important at all times, but especially to get through training camp. The 49ers are running a ton of tryouts, and they just made a couple of signings today. I don't think the signings have subsided ahead of the next practice, the full speed practice on Monday, tomorrow. By the way, beautiful, beautiful day in the city. As you can see behind me, the bay, the Transamerica Pyramid, it's all looking great. I'm gonna put the tripod down and we're gonna go through exactly what happened. Veteran running back joins the 49ers, Khalil Herbert. Herbert, drafted by the Chicago Bears, also a return specialist. A lot of people like this guy. But the bad news is that the reason that the 49ers had to sign Khalil Herbert is that not only has Jordan James broken his rib, but Kalen Black only went through about half of practice yesterday. So obviously worry on the Kalen Black front now that the 49ers have added Herbert, the 28-year-old veteran. He's a 5'9", lower to the ground player. Stocky build though. Doesn't have great top-end speed. He's about a 4.5 40 guy, but good vision. He's run the wide zone well and has had some success returning kicks. You guys might hear the cable car dinging below me. All right, so Herbert added to the 49ers, and so is Titus Leo. He's an edge rusher. He's played for the Tennessee Titans, and he might only be the first edge rusher whom the 49ers add ahead of tomorrow's practice, because they finished yesterday's practice with only 3 healthy edge rushers, or 3 capable edge rushers. KJ Henry, whom they signed last week, was one of them. Quentin Bell, whom they signed last week, was one of them. And the third was Sam Okawanu. So Kevin Givens had to play edge rusher, and we all know that Kevin Givens is a tackle. So very, very thin for the 49ers there. They aren't freaking out about guys like Romello Height. Raheem Morris even said, or really suggested, that he'd be back sooner rather than later when he talked yesterday. But I would say that, you know, even if there is no long-term concern with some of these guys, you have to have enough players to get through these practices, right? And it becomes this snowball effect. If you don't have enough guys to get through practices, then you have to sign other guys. Even if guys are going to come back in 2 weeks, you don't get the same quality practice time in. The cohesion starts to go off. At a certain point, you have to cancel your joint practices because you don't have enough players to make it through. Then 2024, that's what happened. The 49ers canceled their joint practice with the Saints. So, and that season didn't end up going well. Last year, they thought about canceling their joint practice sessions, but they said, well, we got to keep these because we have so many young players. So the 49ers at that point really needed to, in 2025, the 49ers needed to bite the bullet and go with those joint practices. This year, they're a more veteran-laden team, but I think there still is a lot of youth that the 49ers need to really give work to, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I think they really want to conduct the joint practice with the Titans and with the Chargers after that. I'm not saying that joint practice is on the verge of being canceled right now, but if you continue suffering a lot of these depth injuries, that does become a danger. Now, the 49ers, they worked out 3 edge rushers today. Ogabo Okoronkwo is probably the biggest name of the edge rushers whom the 49ers worked out. He's been with several teams and in several interesting systems. He was drafted by the Rams, and he played there from 2018 to 2021. So he was under Brandon Staley, and he was also under Raheem Morris, who's the 49ers defensive coordinator. Now, the 3 edge rushers whom the 49ers worked out, and I think they might add one of these guys, maybe Okoronkwo, before practice tomorrow, they all have hybrid capabilities, which is important because the 49ers are running a hybrid defense now under Raheem Morris. You have to be able to play outside linebacker and split off into coverage. You have to be able to roar around the edge as a speed rusher. And all of these guys are a little bit lighter. Okoronkwo is about 253 pounds. But he's played for Morris with the Rams. He played under Jim Schwartz with the Cleveland Browns for 2 seasons, which means that Jim Schwartz, he runs the wide 9, which means he could run what the 49ers had traditionally and exclusively run out of the 4-3 before this season. And he played for the Philadelphia Eagles under Vic Fangio, which is more of a 3-4 defense. And we know that we see Raheem Morris incorporating principles from that defense into the 49ers defense now. So really seems like if you need somebody to fill in that can play multiple different techniques from the edge rusher position, Okoronkwo, 31 years old, more established veteran, he signed a contract worth up to $19 million in his career. So this is somebody who's gotten paid some money, a respected edge rusher, somebody who has career production. This could be somebody whom the 49ers bring in as a veteran add. By the way, Jadeveon Clowney today went to the Houston Texans. So the 49ers might have been interested in Clowney, but he did decide to sign with Houston, the veteran edge rusher whom we had been talking about as a potential addition to the 49ers. Other two workouts of the 49ers are Andre Carter II. A lot of you might be wondering, is that the son of Andre Carter, who went to college at Berkeley and played for the 49ers? Berkeley, by the way, that way. You could actually see Berkeley over that way. No, Andre Carter II is not the son of the football player Andre Carter. His dad worked for the airline industry. Andre Carter II went to Army, 6'6", and I don't know if he ended up. He was actually undrafted coming out of Army in 2023, but there was a chance that he was going to be drafted. I remember that he was making some press that year. Tall edge rusher, 270 pounds, the biggest player the 49ers worked out today. Between him, Okoronkwo, and Xavier Thomas, who's a veteran out of Clemson. Thomas is 6'2", 250. Okoronkwo's got 20 pounds and a good 3 to 4 inches on both of the other edge rushers. Okoronkwo only 6'2", so Carter obviously built with a much longer frame. But one of these three guys, just because of how many edge rushers down for the 49ers right now, I would expect to sign with the 49ers before practice tomorrow. You look at San Francisco's situation, and this is why Raheem Morris is not overly concerned, but Michael Williams, he'll be back, and it looks like his rehab is going well, but he's not available right now, coming off the ACL. Alfred Collins is back. I'm looking at my laptop screen right now. Could show you guys, I'll flip the camera around and show you the roster as soon as I finish editing it here. Collins, that's a defensive tackle. I know it's not an edge, but we're talking about the line in general and all these injuries. Collins was activated off PUP. He's recovered from the shoulder surgery. That's good for the defensive tackle position. The only player missing there right now is Grayson Halton, the rookie with the knee bone bruise, but he might be back maybe as soon as tomorrow or more likely after the day off, which is on Tuesday. Keon White had to leave practice the other day with a core injury, a adductor injury. I don't know if it was just a little sore, if it was something a little bit more serious, but Raheem Morris didn't seem to make it sound like it was all too serious, but it still is something to keep an eye on because Keon was a really good player for the 49ers after he was traded from New England last year. Then there's Romello Height. It was an elbow issue for him that caused him to miss practice yesterday. Again, no firm indication on how serious it is. And even more mystery surrounding Cam Sample. Sample is the veteran defensive end, formerly of the Bengals. Knee injury, we didn't get any other information. So again, by the end of practice yesterday, it was KJ Henry, it was Quentin Bell, and it was Sam Okawanu, and you got to have Kevin Givens, a defensive tackle, playing out at the edge position. Too early for the 49ers to be going through this and have a smooth training camp. So they need these injuries to subside a little bit on the depth front. Otherwise, they're going to run out of players. It's going to be tryout city, just like I'm reading to you every day. And it's going to be really hard to run those joint practices against the Tennessee Titans. That's coming up not this week, but the one after. And then the Chargers, which is going to be week following the Titans. And I want both of those joint practices to happen because I think that those are the best way to evaluate a team before the season starts. You know, the preseason's worthless at this point as far as the games go, as far as evaluating a team. But those joint practices last year against the Broncos, that was really, really good work that the 49ers got in. So I think that the main focal point right now should be the 49ers need to be able to get as much good work as possible in over the course of this month of August. It's August 2nd today. The joint practices are scheduled. They've got to get these in so they have the best possible preparation for the Rams in week 1 over in Australia. By the way, happy weekend to everybody. It is absolutely stunning here today in the Bay. I mean, you can't illustrate a more perfect day. Look, we could even see the cable car down there. The tourists are all getting off at Lombard Street. I know it's shaky, it's also windy. I apologize about that. I gotta zoom this camera out, but it's not letting me zoom it out. There we go, that's a lot better. A little less shaky when it's not. I know probably gave some of you motion sickness there as we were zoomed in on the cable car. Look, the cable car is now on its way downhill. This is America's most beautiful city. I think there is absolutely no question about that right now. So you go downtown, Coit Tower, you could see down into North Beach. There's the old San Francisco Culinary Institute. We could see Berkeley, where Andre Carter went to college, not Andre Carter II, no relation. We can see the boats coming in, and we could even take a look at Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge if you guys would like. I feel that I owe it to you to show you San Francisco, especially on days like there's the bay, and there is the most photographed bridge in the world, the Golden Gate. So there you have it. The bay was surprisingly warm today, and you guys probably wouldn't think it's warm, but I do it without a wetsuit. You can see there's a lot of swimmers in the cove today. When you swim Alcatraz, you have to have a boat escort because those big ships can run you over if you're not careful. So that was how we operated today. Let's go back to our spot so I could talk more on the 49ers. San Francisco, somebody's favorite city in the world, I see in that comment section. Love it. I'm ready for your questions. I'm going to post up here, get your questions in, and we will go from there. There we go. That's our spot. That is our spot. The status on Grayson Halton is I think he'll probably be back around this week. He's got a bone bruise in his knee. So I'm guessing about a week for the bone bruise. It could be a little bit longer, but we shall see. John asking what's going on with the Vita Vea talk. Well, it's just talk. The Bucks actually going to want to have to trade him. I'm not sure if they're even interested in fielding offers right now. So, he's demanded a trade, but he's not the one that does the trading. If the trading does happen, that's going to have to come from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers themselves. Now, we talked about Vita Vea up here. He's from the Bay Area. It would make a whole lot of sense for a lot of teams, but I think that the fact that he went to high school 6 miles from Levi's Stadium is a nice little sweetener, and we know that he wants to come closer to home. He wants to play in California or Nevada for the Raiders, but you know, the one thing about Vita is he could be using that as leverage just to get a sweeter offer from the Bucks, and any team that he's traded to, I would think he's going to need a new contract, and it's going to be well upwards of $20 million a year, so it'd be a big commitment. We'll see if Tampa Bay is even willing to trade him for a reasonable amount of draft capital at this point. You know, it's not easy to make some of these trades happen, and two need to be there to tango. Looks like all the questions are about Vita Vea right now. The injury issues for the 49ers are not at tackle, they're at edge for San Francisco. It's the edge rusher position that was down to 3 players to where they had to use a defensive tackle to play out on the edge. So right now, I mean, Vita Vea, you'd find the spot for him. One of the largest men in the NFL, 350 pounds, played running back in high school down at Milpitas. I mean, it makes him athletic on top of the fact that he's just an absolute fire hydrant. All great, but the acute need is different as far as what the 49ers need to get through these practices, and that is the edge rusher position. And it's so interesting because it's a different skill set that they're calling for at that edge rusher position than they have in years past. They've definitely added a lot of the 3, 4, 5-man front stuff where the guys are playing outside linebacker on top of going after the quarterback. You see a lot of just bluff rushing off the snap and then drops into coverage over the course of practice from guys like Romello Height. So you need to be able to eat space laterally, backpedaling, You need to have some awareness as far as what's happening spatially around you. It is not just put your hand in the dirt and rush on every single down position anymore, which is why we see the 49ers bringing in these players with backgrounds in multiple different systems, because they're essentially running a conglomeration of multiple different systems in one. Those of you just joining, the 49ers have signed Khalil Herbert. He's a name. He's somebody who fans might know. He's been around since 2021. Veteran running back and return specialist. Had over 700 yards for the Bears in one of his first 4 seasons in Chicago. He can help the 49ers in a number of different ways, but obviously the reason is because Jordan James and K'Lon Black, the 2 young running backs, are not fully healthy right now. We'll see with Isaac Guerrero, by the way. It seems like he's been ramping up his rehab to come off of PUP. He looks like he's healing well. He's running well. He had a pectoral issue, so it wasn't a lower body issues, but he's doing a lot of work on the field, even though he's not formally part of practice yet. Would it be a good time for him to be fully healthy and be activated, because there's opportunities there now? But they've added Khalil Herbert. They've added Titus Leo. That's an edge rusher. He's been around the league for a couple years. Hybrid kind of guy. He's going to be able to play outside linebacker, play edge rusher. Those are the 2 positions that are most beaten up right now: running back and edge rusher. The 49ers waived Mikhail Kamara to make room. That is we talked about him getting carted off yesterday, undrafted free agent out of the University of Indiana, who did not score well athletically, but in college just found a way to get it done, found a way to get to the QB. It's too bad, because he was so excited to play in a system that let him attack for the 49ers. He was so excited to be an edge specialist for San Francisco, put his hand in the dirt and get after it under Chris Kacerek. But unfortunately for Mikhail Kamara, he hurt his knee, was carted off the field. He's waived. Now, Mikhail is going to be reverted to the 49ers injured reserve if nobody picks him up off waivers. And since he went undrafted and since he's now hurt, I highly doubt somebody's going to pick him up off of waivers. So he'll be back on the team by default if that happens. And then they either reach an injury settlement with him, or they can stash him. If it's a season-long injury, they can stash him on injured reserve, and he can give it another go next off-season, next training camp, or starting with OTAs for the 49ers. They also cut Eli Apple, the cornerback entering year 11. He was on the practice squad last year. He had a pick 6 earlier in training camp, but they had to make room for the 2 new signings, so Eli Apple got cut. If they sign one of the tryouts, and I went through those guys, if they sign one of Ogbo Okoronkwo, Andre Carter II, no relation to Andre Carter, not the first, but no relation to Andre Carter, who played for the 49ers, had 12.5 sacks, I think, in 2002, and Xavier Thomas. If they sign one of those 3 guys, they'll have to make another roster move tomorrow, because it's a limit of 90 for the 49ers. All right, I saw a question, how's the offense looking? They didn't look good yesterday, but they've looked good throughout all of camp up until yesterday. Something was a little off with offense yesterday. Could be because of the receiver position. Dejon Stribling was out with hamstring tightness, not a hamstring strain, so I wouldn't be worried about him. But obviously, Ricky Pearsall's done for the season. They've added Deebo Samuel, who made some big plays, but he and Luke Farrell were the only ones making big plays for the 49ers yesterday. So I wouldn't be concerned. It was one day of practice. Thought Purdy and Mac Jones were both off with their accuracy yesterday. It was weird that the offense had its worst day when the defense didn't have any edge rushers, but sometimes weird stuff happens. And as we know, the key for the 49ers this year is the offense has got to be a top 3 unit, and the defense has got to scrap and claw its way into the top half of the league. The injuries that the defense is experiencing right now aren't going to help in that regard. But again, frontline guys aren't going down. That's the most important thing. Still, you've got to be able to make it through August. You have to be able to run these joint practices effectively. This is all important work for the 49ers to be a team that can go toe-to-toe, puff out their chests against the Rams and the Seahawks in a really, really tough NFC West. Somebody asked, do you think it could be fatigue on the QB's part? No, I wouldn't read into it. Sometimes you're a little bit off, and it was a coincidence that both Purdy and Jones were off. Again, maybe the reason they were off is because their receivers that they opened camp with were not in place, with no Pearsall, and Stribling had been a go-to guy. I mean, Stribling is dominating this camp so far. So the fact that he was out with the hamstring tightness probably hurt their 49ers rotation. And I would be very confident that they'll look a lot better as an offense at practice tomorrow. I think that's definitely not worth freaking out over. Look, I'm going to scoot over to the side a bit so you guys can see the skyline. You guys see the Transamerica Pyramid? That's really nice. Yeah. Be over on the side and you guys can see the city of San Francisco. This is a lot better. Does Deebo look good? Yeah, Deebo looked really good yesterday. He looks like he's in great shape. Definitely lighter than he was in 2024. And I didn't expect him to do anything in team drills yesterday, but he was very involved in team drills yesterday. Deebo Samuel was out there making big plays, catches. And again, it was Samuel and Luke Farrell, the tight end, who made all the big plays for the 49ers offensively yesterday. There weren't a lot of them, but it was Deebo in his first day. I didn't expect him to even participate. Normally guys who are signed, they just kind of watch the team drill portion of it. That wasn't the case for Deebo Samuel yesterday. Somebody said I'm getting to be a tour guide of the city. I've been doing this for a few years now. Today we just have such a spectacular day, and we've got to put San Francisco in a good light, pun intended. There's very, very good light today. There's people playing tennis right over there on the Alice Marble courts. I mean, it's a hell of a setup today. Tom says, the real question is, can the Niners smash the injury bug? I think they're the best team in the league if they're not hurt. But, I mean, that was seemingly the case last year after they dominated Seattle in week 1. And they outgained the Seahawks by almost 200 yards, and they weren't even fully healthy there, but they had reasonable health. So I think if the 49ers can be healthy, especially along those front lines, I mean, they lost A-list guys last year, so you can't expect anything after that. But if they can stay healthy, they have really, really good players. It's 106 degrees back in the 559. It's 73 here today. Should just drive up to San Francisco over the weekend. Cool off a little bit here by the ocean. Dan says maybe the defense is tough enough to stop the offense. Yeah, I mean, I think the 49ers defense has a lot of good players. And even without Bosa right now, they still have, listen, they got Osa Odighizuwa in the middle. He's a good player. They have Fred Warner in the middle of the entire unit at linebacker. He's an all-world player. Dre Greenlaw is playing really well right now. He's fully healthy. He's hungry. He and Warner are flying around. That makes up for a lot of whatever, they lose up front along the defensive line. The secondary, I think, is really, really benefiting from the new coverages that Raheem Morris is installing. And I think that the offense is not quite used to what the defense is throwing out there, too. That was another big thing yesterday. Stout pass breakup, Renardo Green pass breakup, Deommodore Lenoir pass breakup. All three of those guys are really, really good players, okay? All three of those guys are, I think Stout has a chance to surpass both Lenoir and Green. I don't know if he has surpassed Lenoir yet, but he's special. Stout is a special player, a special talent that I think the 49ers can deploy really creatively. And that's the key. If Raheem can deploy guys creatively, he can install a lot of new coverages. And that 49ers offense that faces the defense in practice may not be fully acclimated to facing those looks. So it's going to be, and that's going to be great for them as they get ready for the regular season. As they get ready to face different looks when the games actually matter on Sundays. Tom asks, is it true that Deebo will be the return man? Yes, it is. He signed committing to being the return man. I think the cable car's going downhill. That's unfortunate. I was going to get a nice shot of a cable car for you guys, but not going to happen. Sean is in Honolulu, and the weather is much nicer in San Francisco. Well, it's probably, a little less muggy. Is it muggy in Honolulu? Pro Bowl no longer in Honolulu. That's too bad. I've only been to Hawaii once in my life, about 10 years ago. Somebody asking if Romello will be back soon. All I know is elbow injury, and I know that the 49ers have been working out a lot of defensive ends. So I'll give you an I don't know on that. Check in tomorrow. We're going to do a helmet update after practice, and probably be able to give you guys a little bit more of a timeline. Somebody asked, is Cowing out for returner? Well, if he doesn't make the team, he's not going to be the returner. But I don't know how the roster is going to shake out. I think Jacob has looked a little bit better since the pads have come on, but he did have to give up his number to Deebo Samuel. He now shares a number with Malik Mustafa. Only one of those guys is going to get the 6. If Cowing makes the team, he's going to have to change numbers a second time. He'll go from 19 to 6 to whatever they'll give him, probably something in the 80s if he makes the team. But adding Deebo Samuel definitely lessened Jacob Cowing's chances of making the roster, because the return job is what might be Jacob Cowing's ticket. And he hadn't been all too productive offensively so far in this training camp. He does seem to be their top punt returner there, so that could be his true inside track to make the roster. Somebody asked, is Demarcus Robinson doing good? What? He's a known commodity. He's a good player. He's a very good backup receiver in this league. He could play any position. I mean, you saw what he did against Philadelphia in the playoffs last year. I have a lot of respect for Demarcus Robinson. He's played with some really good quarterbacks. Played with Purdy now, succeeded with him, but he played with Mahomes. He played with Matthew Stafford. He knows exactly how to run things correctly. Look, we got a cable car now. This is a good chance to see it. Cable car on its way down the hill. That's a steep hill. That's Hyde Street. There's downtown. And then there's the tennis courts. I said that people were playing tennis. You have them right there. That's Pacific Heights. And that's the top of the Crooked Street, Lombard Street. You could see all the cars and all the traffic police there. You're not allowed to make a right turn onto Lombard. And because you aren't, then the cars line up like over this direction, like several blocks on weekends. It's pretty crazy. Oh yeah, we had the Skeptic Tank sign up to the Steve Young level of membership. I love it. Thanks, man. Somebody said the hills look steeper when I was a kid. I think once you get used to some of the hills in San Francisco, you're right. They don't look quite as steep, but they're still steep. Anytime somebody's here, and I'm keeping myself on the side on purpose so you guys can see the skyline. Oops, let that slip a little bit. But anytime that, what was I saying? Oh, with the hills, yeah. You bring somebody here for the first time and they think they're very, very steep. Somebody's saying, I'm worried Brock's going to go from a 15-ish QB to a 20-ish QB this year. What the hell are you talking about? Brock Purdy's a top 5 quarterback. So, you know, you're 10 spots off at least to begin with if you're going to say 15 to 20. I mean, he's one of the top guys in the league. He's been the most efficient quarterback in the league since he joined. You can make the argument he's number 1. I think it's all subjective thing once you're talking about the top few guys in the league, because there's so many different variables that impact success. So, you know, I don't waste my time usually with specific rankings. I just know he's Brock Purdy is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the most accurate. He, you know, delivers deep at one of the best rates, if not the best rate. He has the best pressure to sack ratio in the league, so he escapes sacks more effectively than anybody else. That was the case last year. I mean, every single thing that you're looking at to accurately measure top quarterback play, Brock Purdy excels in it. And he did it last year without receivers. Like, they were decimated in the wide receiver room. So get out of here. He's not the 15th best QB in the league. He's not the 10th best QB in the league. It's much more reasonable to say that Brock Purdy is the very best QB in the NFL than it is to say that he's the 10th best. Now, again, it's going to be subjective 1 to 5. It's going to be subjective anywhere, really, but we do have actual data of production at an advanced level, and all of it points to Brock Purdy being in the top 5. All of it. Then you can argue about your different variations and your different scenarios and settings and all of that, all this, all that. You can argue there, but you cannot with the data that we have available. with the tape that we have available. You cannot, with a straight face, say Brock Purdy is the 15th best quarterback in the league. It's just not, it's not true, right? So anyway, he's one of the best, and I'll leave it up to you guys to argue exactly where he should be in the top 5. We got somebody saying that data speaks louder than emotion. Absolutely. That's a good quote. I'm going to use that on Twitter. Osa Odigizua looks great in training camp. Got somebody asking about Osa. People talking about Darnold. Darnold, efficiency-wise, is like between 10 and 15 last year. Purdy is obviously better than Darnold. They were both on the same team, and Purdy, was never threatened by Darnold as the starting quarterback of the 49ers. And that was before Purdy got paid. The crazy thing about Purdy's numbers is that, I think people assume that he's always had some all-star team around him. In 2023, they had a really good team, but he has maintained really, really good numbers, efficiency-wise, even over the past 2 seasons, 2024 and 2025, when the 49ers have had the least wide receiver separation in the entire NFL. Let that sink in. How about this picture-perfect San Francisco day? I'm waiting for your guys' questions here. I'm just getting a suntan. My wife is taking a nap downstairs. I think she's tired because you gotta sleep when the baby sleeps. The baby is taking a nap. Somebody says, I swear it looks like Dubai. This is way, way prettier than Dubai, man. Dubai's got a lot of skyscrapers, and they're taller than the ones in San Francisco. But it's a desert, and I've been there. No disrespect to Dubai. San Francisco, though, is one of the world's most beautiful cities. Dubai is spectacular. I wouldn't necessarily say it's beautiful, though. And Dubai is this place in a desert that is a testament to the marvels of human engineering. It's definitely not San Francisco. You can fly from San Francisco to Dubai on Emirates, and you could pay, I think, the first class in Emirates, where they serve you unlimited caviar. I think the ticket costs like $30,000. I haven't done it. If Emirates sees this video and wants to sponsor me, I'm sure they have Starlink on the plane. I'll do a show. I would fly to Dubai and do a 15-hour long 49ers live stream where you guys could see. If they hooked me up with a first class suite, if somebody working for Emirates sees this, if you guys hook me up with a first class suite, I would go to Dubai and back and stream the entire way. You guys could even watch as I sleep. I'd sleep for part of it. But, we'd do something cool in Dubai too, but I don't really agree with the San Francisco comparison. Now, if you're talking about the architecture, maybe. All right, any more questions? I saw something about CJ West. I'll have an update on him tomorrow. I guess the Vita Vea talk can tie into that a bit. We're talking about a couple defensive tackles. You want me to go up to Twin Peaks and do one from there? That'd be fun. We might go to the East Bay today to pick up some art for the wall. Margot loves Facebook Marketplace. She loves finding good deals. And then we used it as kind of a scavenger hunt to go around the entire Bay Area. Yes, Jadeveon Clowney went to the Texans. Somebody asking, is Dejon Stribling the answer? Well, he's one of the answers. He looks really good so far. Really, really good so far. Tight hamstring. They held him out as a precaution. We'll see if he's back out at practice for the 49ers tomorrow. Kezar Pub is a good spot. Somebody asking, I think that might be the best spot to watch the 49ers in the city as far as a bar. Kezar Pub is really, really cool. You get a good crowd there at Kezar Pub. Now that's cool because it's right next to Kezar Stadium. That's where fans used to pregame for 49ers games when they played at Kezar Stadium. The Cliff House is going to be reopening. Somebody's saying go to the Cliff House. Can head out there. Today would be a good day to go to the Cliff House. You know, we figure if we take Savannah, our baby, to the Cliff House and Ocean Beach, she might fall asleep. We use the ocean waves, white noise sound, and she just always passes out when you play that. So if we take her out to the ocean, we haven't taken her out to the beach yet, but if we do, maybe she'll fall asleep. A video from the Presidio, the Sutro Bats. All right, I'm taking notes here. I'm taking notes based on these comments. Jessie Bates rumors. I think I started those. Mike might have started those a few months ago. Trade deadline. You know, a guy like that's entering the final year of his contract, safety with the Falcons. If the Falcons aren't any good and they don't want to extend Jessie Bates, Raheem Morris has coached him before. Let's see what the 49ers actually have at safety. I think so far the safeties are playing well for the 49ers. I think Jair Brown has been good in camp. Malik Mustafa currently has the hamstring strain. That's opening things up for Marquise Siegel. You want to give him some reps right now. You're not in a rush to make a trade if you're the 49ers at safety. Your family home was on Alamo Square. That's pretty cool. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. I'm sure that square is popping tonight. That's over in that direction. Nick Martin has been the 49ers' top Sam linebacker so far. Yes, somebody asking about him. It's a good trend in his development for sure. All right, guys. That's about it for me. Mikhail Kamara waived with an injury designation, hurt his knee. If he doesn't get picked up, he'll revert to the 49ers practice squad. Everybody, thanks for watching. Enjoy the beautiful Sunday. There's San Francisco for you. Come visit soon.